Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is John Kovach, Jr., President of Amplified Minds and founder of the Champion Circle. Joining me in our conversations today is Mr. Ryan Fritzsche. This is fun because Ryan and I are practicing social distancing. For those of you who know Ryan and I very, very well, he is literally in the other room. I wanted a change of scenery, and so
hold on. Should we show them? Can we see? Oh, look. You can oh, there he is right there. See that? Look, there's John. There's social distancing. Yeah.
That's us practicing social distancing at its best. And I moved away from my desk. I wanted a little bit of an extra cushion on my back. I got this nice little couch cushion here. Plus, just wanted some change in scenery. We kind of have to do that a lot now, but I really wanted to have this conversation now. This entire week, Ryan's been following along. He's been participating, and he's also been watching. But I wanted to have today to talk about merchant processing. And I know that that's your area of expertise, and you're really good with that. And you and I have been talking for a while about, just the various areas of expertise that you have connections with. And processing is just one of them, but it's one of the main ones, alongside with many other business propositions and opportunities. But we've talked about how you're such an incredible business advisor, consultant in that matter. You have so many resources and so many incredible connections for people and solutions for a lot of what business owners need. Now, one of the things that I was naive about coming into the entrepreneurial world is knowing, what exactly I need to do to be able to process my accounts, process my purchases, my transactions, my credit card payments, and everything that I'm doing with my business. And Merchant Solution Services, CBD credit card processing, and various other groups that Ryan Fritzsche represents and is founder of, has opportunities to share that. So we're really excited to just kind of jump into the conversations today and talk a little bit about that area of business, and maybe we just take it back to 101 business 101 and entrepreneurship, and why understanding your payments and your processors and all of that is important. But I'd like to start off by just introducing Ryan. I'll do it from mine end, and then I want you to introduce yourself and your background a little bit too.
Better be good, John. This better be good.
I've been
your reviews are determined on how well you do this right now.
Well, if you are watching right now, we should give a drum roll of introductions to Mr. Ryan Fritzsche. And Ryan and I have gotten to know each other through the association of his brother Matt, who was awesome enough to put a little trust and funding behind a venture of ours called Amplified Minds. And this has been such a fun and exciting venture for us because it has allowed us to connect with hundreds of professionals over the country and to develop relationships and lead them into opportunities and resources. And I've gotten to know Ryan over the last few years, and Ryan is an incredible business owner, leader, and entrepreneur, a thought leader in the space of merchant processing and finances. But he's one of those persons that when he sees something that works, everything clicks and we have the balls rolling in the right direction to make everything happen. And he's just an incredible person in business, but also one of the most fun persons to hang around. You don't know this guy well enough until you've sat down and had a steak dinner with him, or you've gone on a hike.
No, John, it's when we're out bucking hay every summer.
And I was getting to that. In fact, one of my favorite stories about myself and Ryan is having hardly known these guys, the Fritzsche brothers. They invited me, saying that it would grow hair on my back and put experience under my wings. And I said, sure, let's go bale hay. And having lived in a farm town, grew up around farmers, never baled hay once in my life. And within a couple days, we baled over, I think, 300 bales. And whew, yeah, that is the most exhausting and most tiresome thing we've ever done. But every year I keep going back to it because I'm like, I look forward to it. It's like that one piece of pain. It's like the one piece of pain workout that I look forward to every year because it teaches you something about yourself. Anywho, without any further ado, I kind of want to pass it over to my good friend Ryan here And I'm super grateful for Ryan to be here today. And we're actually going to be launching some live hours with him as well, so that people can understand just the wealth of knowledge that's going on in his brain and the things that he has resources and capabilities of responding to. So if you're just jumping into this conversation, say hello, say hi. We're going to answer your questions here soon. But Ryan, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and just why merchant processing? Why did you come to that conclusion as a result of your career and your entrepreneurial path?
Awesome. Yeah, maybe we don't want to talk about my constant ADD I have with you as well, because I'm always coming to your office like, hey, John, I just had this great idea. What do you think about this? Or, hey, I think I want to shift gears now. What do you think about this? Gosh, can somebody control this person?
There's just so many fun and exciting, really creative ideas with entrepreneurship. And since as business leaders and business owners, since we see the outcome of all of it, it gets so exciting. And then we got to remember, like, oh yeah, I only have 24 hours in a day.
And here's the great thing. It's even like yesterday, we have this great Facebook Live, and my brain's just cranking. And I come in and I do a complete data dump on John. I just like threw up on you for like 30 minutes straight. I don't even think you got a word in. And then I was done. I'm like, so John, what do you think? And you're like, I had to record all of that. Where were you going?
We really should have.
That's what's fun, right? That's what we love that. And that's what I think makes what we're doing is just so cool and fun, because we're constantly learning off of each other and throwing ideas around. And that's what business is. It's learning and growing. It's bouncing your ideas off of each other. Some of them sticks, a lot of them don't stick. But it's the creativity that I love, and how we can collaborate on the creativity side of business. It's just fun.
Yeah.
And so to talk, I guess, a little bit about the processing, I guess that's what we're here to talk about today.
And we don't have to, but it is the topic that we could discuss.
So I've been in the industry since 2005, really. I got started in this industry, to be very honest. I got started because I had over leveraged myself, and I was looking for a way to make some extra income. And this industry, an opportunity came in front of me and I jumped on it. But what I realized very quickly is that back in 2005, what I was actually selling people was I was a snake oil salesman. What I sold them something that was really high rate, something that really wasn't going to work for them long term. And I feel bad saying this, but took advantage of a lot of people. And I think one of the greatest things I did for my professional career is I became friends with them. So I learned all their struggles and the challenges, and that's what really taught me about the industry. And so then I went off on my own for a bit. Then I started working for different companies. And where I really feel like I got my legs in the industry is I started working with businesses that are higher risk or hard to place merchant types. And I started diving into their chargebacks. I started diving into the risk and the problems that they were having, and trying to understand what is it that creates a good merchant account, and what is it that people do that creates problems for them, or what they're not seeing on the horizon that can cause problems for them. And so I spent a number of years growing and building chargeback management companies, risk management companies. Moved past that, and then back in 2013, I decided I'm going to go full force into the processing side and just make that my thing. And I mean, it's been quite the run, quite the ride, and learned a lot. And we're just having a lot of fun now. So we've got a great team here. They're all working from home now, obviously, but we just have a great group of people that's a part of our team that really get in and get the job done every day. And, I love it. We've got a good thing going. So
one of my favorite parts about your story is the principle that we've been talking about for forever, which is when you treat people well things tend to go right in your world. And
Boy, that's for sure.
And you saw this early on that, this wasn't the greatest product, or this wasn't your great. Hey, there's one of our team members. Josie just jumped in. Hey,
Josie.
We're shouting out to Josie. She's
What's up, Jason? We love Jason too.
And Jason's in the house, a partner of ours. So good. But what I love about that is that, early on you realized, I need to become friends with these people so I can gain their trust, so that when I partner off, or when I go in a different direction, that I have their loyalty. But it's not about creating loyalty. It's not about creating trust. It's just about allowing people to have resources that will help them thrive, to help them win, to help them grow. And you've always been attracted to that. And it just follows you everywhere you go, everyone you lead, every team you surround yourself with. People tend to find the value in all that you're providing. So I think that's super fun and super exciting. Going back to the conversation about, the transition to merchant processing, what inspires you most to work with a bunch of high risk, low risk, just entrepreneurs and business owners?
So for me, I'm very ADD, and I like change, right? I like challenges. I like things to be different. I never know what any day is going to bring, because every merchant problem is slightly different. Especially in the high risk world, you just never know what's going to happen from day to day. I mean, I've been through times where I had entire portfolios seriously wiped out in a single day. I've had times when processing solutions will just decide to flip a switch and say, yep, we're not going to service this industry anymore, go somewhere else. And then we've got to scramble with our clients to try and find a new solution for them. We've had times where people call me up and be like, hey, look, I've had this problem. I just had one of my customers charge back 5 different times on me. What am I going to do? Is this going to cause problems with my account? Am I going to be shut down? How do I handle this? Or people call me up saying, I just had somebody take tens of thousands of dollars from my account. Help me, And so it just brings different challenges all the time. And that's what I absolutely love about this industry. And with the evolution of the industry and how fast technology is moving, it's constantly changing as well. Even on an e-commerce side, the methods of marketing, the methods of doing your lead generation and attracting new customers, it's constantly changing, as we all know, in marketing as well. And so adapting to those and finding the payment solutions that will work for somebody and what their specific environment is or their business model is going to be. It just creates a lot of opportunities to be creative and to learn and grow. And to be honest, I like the change. I like it different all the time, because if it was monotonous for me, I would go nuts. But so I like the constant changes that happen. And I love meeting new people and finding out their story. I love finding out, how they came up with their product or their business or their service and what inspired them to do that, and where they're going with their company and how they're getting there. And I really like diving into themselves more outside of the processing side, because I'm just very curious on businesses and the mindset that people have when they go to create their business. Because I like to think of different businesses, but I'm in awe with so many of you out there that to me, I think are just super intelligent and super smart to come up with these business ideas and to create new technologies and all this stuff. And I'm just a simple guy. I'm like, yeah, I can take care of your processing. This is easy for me. But what's funny is there's so many people that don't understand the processing side. And that's why we're all here for each other, because we all have expertise in different areas and we all need each other and we can all support each other. And that's what is so fun about business is not linear at all. Mm-hmm. Business is a web of networks, and it's a honeycomb, and we all are there to help each other and support each other. And that's what allows all of us to grow and become successful.
Well, it's no doubt that, an ever-changing environment is just absolute incredible fire fuel for ADD, but it allows you to have that fun and to interact and create valuable relationships with a lot of people. And honestly, the geniuses of our world, right? The people who are coming up with these really cool and rad business ideas, and then, finding ways to provide solutions for them. It's noble and it's fun and it's just exhilarating. And so every day you wake up, you don't have to go to a day of work. Every day you get to go to a challenge, which is super fun to work through and kind of, it's kind of like when, mechanics want to get their hands on an engine and just, tweak around and play with things so they can understand it better. And it's like that. It's like everyone's engine is a little bit different. They come in with different models, makes, and groups, and sometimes the most exotic ones. But all in all, there's a solution and there's help out there for everybody. Jason made a really great point. He said it's important to create rapport and trust, but even more so, he said, I love that there's not a cookie cutter for each merchant needs. And I love that because every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new opportunity to say, okay, here's this person. They may be a coach, but their qualifications may not be as necessarily the same as coach A, B, and C. And so there you go. Or this person is in the CBD industry, and that person has X, Y, and Z issues compared to other people. And so it's just a constant battle of playing and figuring out. There's no absolute like one way to do everything. I think that's just super fun and inviting.
Yeah. And, you bring that up too, because a lot of people, when they just think, okay, I'm going to set up I've got my business set up. I need a way to process payments. I'm going to go get a merchant account. Not all processors are, I like to use the phrase, not all processors are created equal. And I say that because just because you're in business and you need to accept payments, it doesn't mean that your bank or a specific processor is going to be able to facilitate your needs. And and a lot of people just think, I'm going to go to PayPal, I'm going to go Square or Stripe, and they're going to take care of me. That's a lie. That's not necessarily the case. They have their limits on the types of businesses that they can handle and support. And if you are not in line with a processor that meets your business needs or that has an appetite for your business, all you're doing is setting yourself up for some challenges. I'm not going to say failure because we don't have failure, we have challenges, but you're going to go down the road and set up an account. You're going to get your account going. You're going to be processing. And then one day they just shut you down or they hold your money, because then they start looking at your business and what you're doing and realize, we really can't support you. So then you got to go through the work of finding somebody else to help. In fact, this happened to me just this morning, right before we were on our call with our collective group. I talked to a lady that she was on Square, and she said, look, I'm in the CBD industry and Square is shutting me down. I need a processor. I am now a week out. I don't have any way to process payments. Can you help? And of course I can. So it's always a good feeling when you've got a solution for somebody like that, right?
Right, absolutely.
But it just goes to my point is, yes, Square can process CBD, but they have limitations as well within that. And so one of the things that I teach people, especially new in business, is when you go to set up a payment account, you really want to interview the person you're talking to and find out, can they truly support your business? I've had clients that have gone to their own bank that they bank with, and I've let them know, hey, you got to be careful, because I don't believe that this is going to be a long-term account for you. I know you bank with them, but traditionally, your bank does not like your type of business. Now, there's some caveats to that as well, and I don't know that I want to really get into that, but I just warned them and I said, be careful with this. And so anyway, he said, well, it's my banker, I trust him, and this, yada, yada. And they set up an account. It was closed down in a month. And he came back and said, how did you know? I said, because this processing is relationship driven. Processing, there's so many ins and outs of it that unless you really understand the industry, it's hard to dissect it. It's hard to figure out the ins and outs of it. And that's why you want somebody like myself, a professional in the industry that knows the industry, that you can talk with, that you can sort through what your challenges are with your business, what your business types are, and just make sure that they can help you out. And there's a lot of guys that like me out there that provide services. But I just recommend that people really have true conversations with whoever they're talking about, and vet them out to make sure that they can handle and set you up with an account.
Yeah, it's so funny too, because it's like if you bring in the example of a car salesman, right? You just kind of get whoever walks up to you first when you pull into the parking lot, right? At least used car salesmen. I know that the higher end car salesmen are a little bit different. They work well. But when you go to buy a used car, right, these guys, it's the first one who jumps on you and the first one you get. And then, he may or may not have connections with the right solutions, but he's going to try and get you your best deal. But it all is relationship based. As you build a relationship with each other, you then are able to find, the relationships within the industry as well, because that person is typically well connected, and then finding solutions within that. And that's why I like the term, and you can debate with me on this, Ryan, but I like the term advisor. It's equivalent to consultant, but advisor is like, I'm on your team to win, right? We're going to find the best alternative or solution for you. And that's why you trust in advisors. You trust in people in the mentoring space, because not only are they going to steer you in the right direction, but they're going to give you the reins, and they're going to walk you through it. And that's what I've been able to observe you doing with a lot of your clients and with a lot of the people in the industry. And when people have totally turned their backs on you, huge conglomerates in the industry, yet you still continue to thrive because you have great relationships elsewhere. And it's funny how this industry is so wildly interesting, because it people can shut the door on each other at any time, but yet it creates windows of opportunity when one thing goes down, just like in quarantine, or just like in what we're experiencing today. When one thing bad happens, other opportunities start to rise, and you're able to capitalize on it. So it's just really cool. I love seeing that in the market, and I love seeing how that happens, especially when you see relationships close doors and open doors.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because even last week I was listening to a coach talking with a different program that I'm engaged with. And what caught my attention is the same thing you said, is sometimes we try and hold on to opportunities, and really those are the opportunities we just need to let go. Because if we are just trying to push along and try and force something to happen, sometimes that's the universe saying, hey, this opportunity is not for you. Move past it, because I've got a bigger and better opportunity waiting for you. You just have to let go of this one. And I find that so many times in business. And let's be honest, relationships are, they're organic, right? You have to build them, you have to nurture them, but that doesn't mean that one relationship is going to last forever. We all change, and we all evolve and adapt, and our lives change and go different directions. And so sometimes just because you had a good relationship today doesn't mean that relationship's going to be there tomorrow. Right. Sometimes you just got to realize, hey, you know what? The door's closed on this one. We had a great run. I'm grateful for what happened, but what's coming next, and allow yourself to be open to that. And that has nothing to do with processing, but really, now that you bring that up, that thought came to my mind. So,
yeah, I love that.
And that's really how I built my company as well. To be honest, it's all relationship driven. I cater to channel. I call them my channel partners. I don't like to use the word agent really, because I just don't like how I feel when I say agent. It's more of a channel partner. It's a partner in business that we're working with. We're working on a collaborative effort to help a specific business or merchant out, to get them set up, right? And it's an ongoing effort that we do. And by building these channel partner relationships and nurturing them and continuing to grow them, that's how I've been able to get my business where it is. That's how I've been able to employ the people that I do, help them, with providing money for their families as well. And, we're all in this together, so super grateful for everybody I work with and all the relationships I have, because that's why we are on this call right now. Truly.
Yeah. I love this comment from Jason. He just says, yeah, it is a competitive industry. It really needs to, you really need to differentiate yourself from others and, just identify what makes you unique. And I think that's a great lead into just some of the things that you and I can share with our audience and teach everyone a little bit as we delve into entrepreneurship and just why. Why is it important to just understand and know? Well, I think earlier in the week, we talked about financial literacy and how empowering and how important it is that entrepreneurs and just business owners have some sort of literacy and some sort of understanding of the structures and the things that go into the weeds of business. And when you understand those things and you have the right relationships that go along with it, a lot can go a long ways. And so I just wanted to kind of lead into this, and let's talk a little bit about something that I think everyone can possibly relate with, which is why every single business needs to understand why they need to identify the right processor and then who to trust. And not that we're going to shame anyone who uses PayPal or any of the other groups. They all work. It's just there's a difference, and people fit within different realms. Even though there's no cookie cutter solution, there is, however, various degrees of how you can be helped and what solutions are available to you. So I kind of wanted to lead into that and just say, let's talk a little bit about the uniqueness of this industry and what are some of the things you're seeing that business owners need to be aware of.
And that's a great question. I would say really the uniqueness of the industry is there's a solution out there for everybody.
Right.
Let's just start with that. That doesn't mean that like I said before, that doesn't mean that everybody has that solution for you, but there is a solution out there for everybody. So for instance, there are companies that get blacklisted, right? There's still opportunities out there, and there's ways for them to take payments. Sometimes you have to get a little creative. Sometimes you have to structure your business in different ways, but there are ways that you can take payments. What I tell people to do is to get started, you really need to first identify what your needs are. And let me preface this. This is for somebody that is looking to set up a new account, right? Really identify what is it that your needs are, because you got to start there always. Anytime you're trying to make a decision or make a move, build anything, you got to figure out what is it that I really want. Until you figure that out, you're in a guessing game, right? And so you got to identify your needs. What are your needs for processing? How do you want to accept your payments? Is it going to be through a piece of equipment? Is it going to be through a POS machine? Is it going to be online? Do you need multiple options? Do you need a wallet-based solution? Are you going international? Are you domestic? I mean, there's a lot of things to consider here, right? You got to consider what is the growth of your business going to be in the next 3, 6, 9, 12, 5 years. You got to start figuring this out, because when we go to set up an account, all of this information is pertinent for us to be able to set up the account correctly so that we can set it up for your growth as a business and not just get you set up with an account. Because oftentimes in certain types of industries, there's going to be caps. There's going to be volume caps. You can only process a certain amount of money with a specific processor. So sometimes, and this is where it can be unique, is sometimes you need multiple accounts just so that you can grow and scale your business. Sometimes you need multiple accounts just because if you're in a certain type of industry, you don't necessarily know if an account's going to get closed down at any given time. So in certain industries, like the coaching industry, I'll just put it out there. I tell people, go get yourself a PayPal account. It's going to serve you very well. Get yourself a Stripe account. It's going to serve you very well. But let's also set you up with a standard merchant account, because there's going to be some advantages of having all of them. And if any of them were to go down, you always have your backups, and there's nothing wrong with having multiple accounts. Does that answer the question on the uniqueness there?
Absolutely. I think it delved even deeper into some of the discussions we like to talk about, because, a lot of our audience members, they're business owners, they're retail owners, they are consultants, they are speakers and coaches themselves in the mentoring industry. We've got a lot of people in various environments who end up being in real estate. Sorry, that was the other one. I was like, what's the other one? Real estate people who really are attracted to some of the content in our meetings and our events and our networking and our stuff. So all of that, it's just fascinating how a lot of these people are attracted to this. And so for me, it's fascinating too, because it is very unique. It's very unique to the person, to the type of work they do. And also I think Jason touched on this in the comment section earlier, but it's not that one processor is going to fit all. It's good to have all of the accounts, because they will benefit you depending on what you're doing. If it's a quick sale, if it's a seasonal thing, if it's a long-term thing, if it's a high risk scenario, if you're selling your jet or your $1 million mansion versus, a few other things. It's just all fascinating. So what are some of the things that you're sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to highlight one of Jason's comments, because I think this is an important thing in business that oftentimes we forget or we look past. And it's this one: I will always keep that relationship going by sending gift cards and other gifts for being clients, right? We've gotten so used to technology and the fast pace of it, where we might send text and emails all the times. But how often do we just stop and even send a thank you email, or better yet, a thank you card to one of our new clients, and just, express that gratitude for being a client? Oftentimes we forget to do some of those simple things that really go a long way in business. And so I love that comment. I think that is such a needed action step in all businesses right now. And, there's a lot of people, and I get it. If you're a retail or merchant and you have hundreds of customers coming in your door every day, how can you be unique to them? How can you show up for them to show your gratitude and to show that you actually care about them? And on the back end of the processing side, and this is after somebody has an account, I like to talk to people about the customer experience that they're giving, right?
Right.
Customer experience is huge. And I know the other day you were talking with Steiner's, and you brought up the iPhone analogy, right? Right. iPhone or Apple is the best at customer experience, in my personal opinion. I mean, every time I buy an Apple product, and if you look around my office, I've got Apple products all over the place. I just love Apple. That's beside the point. They've got me hooked, right? But so much of it is the experience. I love opening the new package. I love to pull out my new phone or my new iPad, the way it's wrapped, the way it's positioned in the packaging. Everything about that experience is good, as far as setting up your iPad or your new device. It's simple, it's easy, it's a good experience. So the question is as business owners, as companies, what experience are we providing to our customers? Because if that is in line with your mission, if that's in line with good principles, then those customers are going to stick around much longer. And right. You're not going to have problems with those customers. But sometimes we forget those simple steps on how to create that wow factor in your business by giving your customer that experience. And sometimes it's just it's a good outreach to them. With the platforms now, with the email and the texting you can do, I'm talking with companies here that have hundreds of customers coming in and out the door. It's probably not going to be as easy for them to send a thank you card to everybody or a gift card. but they can send a thank you email. They can give them value-added information or keep serving them in other ways. And we see that a lot with a lot of our big box brands, right? Apple, you see it all the time as well. But I bring this up because I see in the processing world where a lot of people start having issues with their merchant account is when they lose sight of the customer experience and what they are providing them. Because that's where all the issues start, is when a customer decides that they are no longer satisfied with your product or service, and then they decide that they are going to dispute their transaction. They are going to want refunds. They're going to cause various problems for you. If the customer experience was solid, a lot of that starts going away. And so when I was doing a lot of consulting with companies on their chargebacks and their risk management, that was the first area that I would always go down the rabbit hole of, is what is that customer experience? And what did that customer experience is also a great question, because sometimes we get so tunnel focused on our business that we just think everything is good, but we forget to actually ask what our customers are experiencing. And so when I would go in and consult with them, I would go to the customers and say, hey, I want to know what your customer experience was. What led you to take the certain actions against this company? And that's where I learned so much about what was going on in the company. And that's where we went in and tried to change processes or fix different things that made huge differences. In fact, it took companies that I worked with, it took them from the brink of having accounts being closed down to their processors coming back to them saying, hey, we love what you're doing. We're going to give you more volume now. Keep up what you're doing. You're a great client of ours. Where they were about to get shut down, and it all came down to that customer experience. So if there is one thing that I would give as a tip for the day, for any business out there, always be questioning and always be reevaluating what the customer experience is that your company is providing. I just think that is key in so many ways.
I love that. And I kind of want to continue to reverse engineer this a little bit. And as we talk a little bit about, because I think this topic doesn't just speak to people who are interested in merchant processing or anything.
For
it's
sure.
Any business owner. But as I go back to your example of the Apple, purchasing Apple products, even you've already purchased it and you've opened it and it looks great and it's amazing and it's such a fun experience for you. It's so clean, it's so crisp, it's so what's the word I'm looking for? Sleek and everything. It's just so fun.
Yeah.
But let's reverse engineer this a little bit more and just go back to the beginning of what if you're just getting started? What if you're a brand new business owner, or maybe you're coming out of the graveyard because you've been under, or you're just trying to get new clients. And let's just say the client acquisition game. I know that Kyle was on here earlier, and Kyle talks a lot about the frameworks of marketing and how to not lure people in, but to bring people in through the methods of seduction. But what I want to talk about with you is, do the same principles apply, especially in this industry, as you are acquiring customers, as you are gaining new customers for the first time?
Absolutely, because it's the first impression.
Yeah.
What is that first impression that you're providing your customers? Because they're going to make a decision within those first few seconds if they want to continue down the road to work with you or not, right? We've learned this, we've heard about it, but it's so true. I mean, how many times, a good example, Amazon. I love shopping Amazon. I think we all do, especially now, right? I'm going to the landfill constantly every week just to get rid of all my boxes now because it's Amazon. But you start scrolling through all the options in Amazon, and it's those first impressions that are attracting you to click on that product to look into it more, right?
Right.
And if that first impression, when you open it up, doesn't impress you, then what are you doing? you're hitting the backspace, you're going and looking at something else, right? So in our mind, we're trying to see, okay, what provides the fastest response for me to want to look more into this product or service, right? And so it's the same thing. I mean, it's when we are putting together our business and our business strategies and our marketing, are we really asking ourselves that question? What type of experience are we going to provide them right up front, right? And I would say we all have work to do. I know I've got a lot of work to do in that department as well, but that's what's so fun, because you can always ask yourself that question. You can always grow and adapt and change and modify, and so it's always changing. But on the processing side too, especially in the e-commerce world, we want to look at somebody's website. We want to go through and make sure that website has everything that is needed, not only for compliance, but to provide that initial customer experience. Because we see a lot of websites, to be very honest with you, where I would never shop there. And I'll shop almost anywhere until I go to a place that I'm like, yeah, that doesn't look very good. That doesn't look professional. But it's amazing to me how many times I'll get a website that's tossed over to us. I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to do some work on this site, right? Because it's that first impression that we are looking after. Because I also know on the payment side that if somebody purchases on a website that isn't really clean, that isn't professional looking, that doesn't provide that customer experience, from experience, I know that account's not going to last very long, or I'm going to have problems on that account from customer disputes and chargebacks, high refunds, etc. Right? And sometimes people just throw up a splash page and put a lot of information on it, and sometimes it's too much information. We've done a big shift over the years where websites used to be put as much out there as you can, and we want to give the customer every little thing that we can, right? And then again, companies like Apple, they shifted that again, where it's like, nope, let's keep it simple, let's keep it unique, but let's provide an experience, because we're in such a fast-paced world that people want to just go from A to B to C to D, and they just want to go through that as fast as possible.
Interesting. Fascinating. I just put out a comment out there for anyone who's watching, several of you out there. What questions do you have for Ryan? Is it business related, merchant processing related, credit cards, etc.? Ask us anything. This is a time for you to engage with us. Jason just posted a comment and said, education is so key in being unique. What does Ryan do to further his processing education, and how can I receive this knowledge too? That's a great question. Thanks for asking.
No, that's a way to put me on the spot, Jason. Thank you. I love it. Well, I mean, there's a couple things on this. As a professional in the industry, I honestly get a lot of education through just experience by being in the business day to day, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to get that same experience. I'm in that unique position, like anybody is in their profession. There are certain, and I'm trying to see if I've got any. I don't have any right around me, but there are some magazines. There is one called Digital Transactions that is really good. There is one that's called the Green Sheet. The Green Sheet is the industry leading magazine that you can pick up to learn a lot
for the industry, right?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, and not to be confused with cannabis, but it is the Green Sheet, and it has nothing to do with cannabis. That's just what it's always been called. There is a organization called ETA, and I believe it's now transact.org. That is a really good resource for information as well. However, this is a good plug-in for what's about to come, I think, right, John?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Over the years, I've put together a lot of information. I put together an Industry 101. I put together a lot of ebooks. And so I'm about to start launching some live casts as well. And I'm going to be providing this education, all the stuff that's just in my head. I'm about to start throwing it out and puking it out on Facebook Live. So I apologize for that, but it's coming. But yeah, I've got a lot of write-ups that I've done. I've got an industry 101 course for anybody that wants to learn about the industry. I've got a series of tips that I've created videos on. In fact, yesterday morning, I was having a little creative spurt, and I wrote down on my yellow pad 3 different ebooks that I want to create for the processing industry. And so last night I was up until 2, just starting to write out some of my ebooks. And so as far as education, what I'm interested in doing is just getting it out to everybody. And that's going to be coming here in the next week or so, where I'm going to just start pumping all this out. And so we're excited about that. We're excited about that live hour that I'm going to be starting, just spilling out everything I know in my mind and everything I know about the industry. So, but the good thing about this is there's going to be a lot for everybody. So for instance, I've got one tip video on the importance of knowing how to read your processing statement and actually understanding what your processing statement is telling you, because there's a lot of things in there. And to be quite honest, for years, processors use processing statements, in my opinion, just to confuse the heck out of their clients so that they wouldn't leave them. Sometimes they embed fees and rates into the processing statement that you don't know until you really learn how to dissect them and analyze them. And so that's just one of the things that I cover in my, actually part of it's in my industry 101. I also have the tips video, but I'm an open source as well. So what I'm looking forward to is as I start talking about these different topics and subjects in the industry, having people engage, asking questions so that I can answer them on the spot and help through it. And so, yeah, that's being inside the mind of Ryan is a scary. Jason, well said. Stay. It is scary. It scares me sometimes. But no, so that's on an educational side. There's resources out there. There's websites. There's blogs all over the place. Where I'm going to bring that to everybody is through these live feeds, so that we can have conversations on them and discuss them. Because I think it's not only for somebody that wants to jump in the industry and utilize the industry to make some extra income, which certainly can be done, and we teach that as well. But it's also for people that are in business right now, just to learn about the payments industry. It's interesting to me how, and I'm just going to go off for a second on this because I feel this is important because I'm a professional and I have a big ego about what I do, right? But all of us, we know who our dentist is, right? Yep. John, you know who your dentist is.
I do.
Hopefully you've never had to, but you have a personal relationship with an attorney, right?
That's true.
You have a relationship probably with a doctor, with your accountant. We have relationships with all of these key professionals that really help us in our life, right? Get through this journey of life. How many of us are in business that actually have a relationship with their payments person? Which is funny to think about, right? Because if you can't take payment from your customers, from your clients, how long does your business stay up and running? Do I need to say more about that? So you have to have a relationship with whoever your payment provider is, or providers. Let's pluralize it, right?
Right.
Because there's oftentimes a lot of people, and there's a lot of people here in Utah that use multiple processors. That's great. But what's that relationship look like? Do you have somebody that you can call up at any given time, say, hey, I'm seeing this happening in my business. How, what can you tell me? Where do I go from here? What support can you give me here? Right. Having that person that you can always turn to for help is invaluable in business. You've got to have that. And so oftentimes, I mean, this is such a competitive industry. There's so many people that come in and out of this industry that I believe that a lot of businesses have just been trained to think that whoever set them up isn't going to be around much longer, right? And that's just how it is. I mean, it's just the reality. But when you find guys like me that have been in the space for so many years and aren't leaving, we are good resources to have, good people to have in your business, in your pocket, to basically, I shouldn't say rely on, but have a go-to person. And so my recommendation for any business is have that person. Go find that person, whoever set you up, build that relationship with them. Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're going to need them at some point. And maybe it's to set up a new business, but maybe it's because you just had somebody hack into your business and commit some fraud, or you had a customer that just got upset and is causing you all sorts of problems. So somebody like me, we're here to help you get through that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'll add to that was super humble and anyways, to just
Come
say,
on, just create your new word, John.
Yeah,
you love creating new words. I know you do.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't. Never mind. I can't make this word because it was a mixture of two words by accident that doesn't strike the very definition I was looking for. But one thing that I wanted to share is, going back to Jason's question earlier, is what else do you do to progress, to learn, to keep updated on the industry? One thing that I'll mention on Ryan's behalf, that other than the reading material and the white papers, and then just through experience, Ryan is also extremely active by traveling and attending various conferences, various trade shows. He's going to various different business sessions, and he's attending a lot of these business events because he's learning, he's observing, he's meeting great connections, and through that he's getting the experience. But by attending and learning and sharing, we spent a week in the Bahamas. I know it sounds like work, but we were actually on a cruise ship right before.
It was work. It was a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. Ryan and I were up from the hours of burning the midnight oil, as we speak, literally from 10 p.m. until about
3 p.m.
3 a.m. Yeah. And in those conversations, we were building relationships and learning about other industries, because there were various marketers on this marketers cruise that we were learning from every single night, that were giving us information and more knowledge to gain, to add to our repertoire, so that we could turn around and then be more effective for our clients, for future clients, and for people who needed the help. And I love that, because I love your example, Ryan, is like never stop investing in yourself by going and learning from others and how they're doing it. Because as you have been traveling and spending a lot of time on the road, a lot of time in airports, and a lot of time on airplanes, you have come to find in every area, in every corner of the country, the right relationships and the right people to give you the information and knowledge that absolutely separates you as an expert. So I just wanted to, I knew you weren't thinking that route, but I wanted to add that as extra context, because people were wondering, well, what other educational materials are you getting? Well, Ryan's at a point in his career where he can provide the education, which is why we're getting excited to launch his course, launch his live streams, and get his content out there through various ebooks and so forth. And it's really exciting, because this is material and stuff that's not just running around in his head, but it's stuff that needs to be told to the people that isn't elsewhere. Like you said, some people even create papers or create contracts or create certain things that just confuse their clients, and so that they'll stay with them. No one wants to go with a different cell phone plan when they realize the crazy long list of terms and conditions you signed on when you first joined one, and you're trying to get out of contract. So it's just fascinating how this world goes, and I wanted to bring that up, because you didn't give yourself enough credit for people to understand that you travel all over the world, and all over the world are you learning and taking notes. So I thought I'd throw that one out there.
Well, it does help when you have a wife that her love language is travel. And so that certainly helps as well. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, I do try and attend as many events and shows as possible, and just honestly, just getting out there and networking. And it's been really interesting and hats off to you, John, for what you're doing on these Facebook Lives, because when COVID-19 hit, obviously we couldn't do all of our meetups anymore. And I would say that collectively, with all of us here, myself, you, Matt, we were networking junkies, if you could say. I mean, we were all over the place, weren't we? Just, right. I mean, if there was something going on, one of us was there. It's what it felt like. And it doesn't matter where it was, right? And so we were always constantly learning and growing. But what it all comes down to, again, like we talked about at the beginning, was just those relationships. And the more time you can invest in other people and learning about them, that's really where the education and the growth comes from, is by that. And so now you've created a platform where you're investing your time into other people, learning about other people, which is expanding, all of your relationships, building them, growing, but you're providing this valuable information for others that honestly you didn't have that reach 2 months ago.
Nope.
And so this has created a great opportunity for you to extend your reach and really extend your circle of influence. And so again, hats off to you for starting this and doing this and bringing people like me, and I know Steiner's were on, and TJ Menlove, just some awesome people in business. And so what you're doing is just remarkable, and keep doing it.
Hey, I
love being a part of it. I love watching what you're doing and your passion for everything you do with the Champion Circle. I mean, geez, we should talk about Champion Circle. We've got a few minutes left, but what a better way to engage with a community of other entrepreneurs to really help you grow in your business, in your education, in your personal development, everything. So Champion Circle, I think, is awesome that you've started. There's so many things that I know you've got going on too that I can't even follow anymore, to be honest. You got a book somewhere out there. You got, Mr. John.
You're so right, and I receive gratitude by giving more gratitude, and a lot of what you and Matt have done in support have absolutely helped us to be able to figure these things out and grow with them. I can't take personal claim on all the things I've done, because I've just watched and observed great people as I've had opportunities to absorb, turn myself into SpongeBob here, and literally absorb everything that I see and watch done, and then try it for myself. And then, I tell people that I have an MBA in making mistakes. I have an MBA in failure, because I'm really good at learning really quickly, bouncing right back up and moving right back on it, and finding things to work. And I'm so excited for us to get going on your lives and your content, because it's something that we've been needing to push for about 3 years since we've known each other. And it's finally coming to that point where it's like, we now have a platform, we now have an opportunity, and we have endless connections that will allow us the relationships. You mentioned Champion Circle. Thank you for those compliments. Without your guys' support and us creating, back in the day when we had our accountability partner agency, Amplified Minds once was, we learned the ins and outs of accountability. And that allowed us to create various levels through events, through conferences, through personal coaching. It allowed us to learn what exactly it takes to help people achieve high levels of performance. And so all of that comes under this roof that you and I are both under. We have a lot of inspiration, a lot of connections. And it doesn't go without saying that we are extremely grateful for everyone who we've come to know, gotten to know, the contacts we've received, and the relationships we continue to develop, and watching people take off. And I'll kind of wrap up with this, Ryan, and we can kind of end with our final comments. But I would say that a lot of us are, and I'm trying to remember where I was going with this, but anyways, with Champion Circle, we were talking about how creating the right environment for people to succeed. And one of the worst parts about becoming a professional, and one of the worst parts about becoming an entrepreneur and then building friendships with other people, the worst part about it was watching other people fail and then not give back up. And to me, that was the saddest part, which was, why can't I just have the resources right now to step in and say, hey, here you go. Let's do this. Let's run. And watching my friends, watching some of our closest contacts experience, challenges and hurdles in their career and in their lives, and then them not taking the advantage of the opportunity to rise up. And that's been one of the most painful pieces. And so thus birthed the Champion Circle, thus birthed all the scenarios and the ventures that we're involved with, because we wanted to create a well-balanced, incredible wealth of knowledge and resources to all of our connections. And so that just brings it full circle for us. I'm grateful, and I receive gratitude by giving in more gratitude by saying thank you, and thanks for being on the show today. And by the way, everyone listening, we're super excited to launch Ryan Fritzsche's live hours coming to you soon, and content up the wazoo. This guy's got books upon ebooks upon courses upon videos upon everything else. And oh yeah, and then the things just going on in his head until 2 a.m. in the morning and so forth. So we're just super excited to support you and get all this running, because the world deserves to hear more from you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. As you were talking, I'm like, it might be fun to get a few of us together and just talk about our failures, but the opportunities that came out of those failures and what we learned from them. That might be kind of fun for an hour show, and just, open up about some of that stuff, because we all learn through our failures. And sometimes people are going through failures and that's why people have mentors and coaches, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times those mentors, those coaches, they've been there, they've seen it, they've done it. So they know what you're going through, and they can help guide you through that time. So anyway, that might be a fun idea for us on a Friday.
I'll put that on the docket for next week. I think that'd be really cool. And way to encourage vulnerability. And I think that's one of the greatest ways to really extract the truth and the facts behind what it takes to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, and to find success. I know that a lot of us have talked on this show, and a lot of us have talked just over online information, but anywho, there's just some really cool stuff coming out of the works. And so
awesome. We're excited. It's going to be fun.
Well, good stuff. Well, I appreciate you, Ryan, and thanks for coming on the show today, and thanks for having our conversations. This won't be the last time, and we'll be promoting over some of your live hours here very, very soon. So just appreciate you joining us, and thanks for all your comments, Jason, Kyle, and those who joined us on the call. If you have any questions, my first invitation is go join our Facebook group, which is called Return on Relationships. My second invitation, which will be in the comment section, make sure you go and follow and like Ryan Fritzsche's professional page, where he'll be posting and creating a lot of this content and sending it to you directly. So there's the key. The key invitations and offers for today is go and click on those links. They will be in the comments section, as well as the description of this actual post. So if you guys will go do that, then we will take care of you through our relationships and our connections, and then just having a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ryan.